see you. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm fantastic. And where's home for you again?
I'm in Ghana, in Africa.
I love it. And what time is it there?
It's 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Yes.
So it's 2 p.m. here. I would have thought the time difference. I guess it's your west, right?
Yes.
And with
We
time
west.
with you, do you have daylight savings?
No, there's nothing like that here.
Okay, that's why. Because we're
Yeah.
usually 5 hours difference with England.
Yes.
So you line up, I guess, under England.
Yes. Right.
So
GMT.
yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so Isaac's part of Movement Makers. Signed up for a year. We're doing this, having some fun. What do you got,
Awesome.
man? How can I help?
Yeah. So I'm trying to solve this big problem, right? And I would need some guidance to actually get it going. So I used to live in the States for a while. Actually, I lived in England for quite a number of years, and I moved to the States. And then I came back to start some enterprises in Ghana. But I get back to the States every now and then.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I noticed very, very quickly was that the skill level of most of the young college grads were below par. And I saw myself I've hired people and things here and there. And I just love to mentor and actually teach people. I just do that for fun. So I decided, okay, why don't everyone was complaining about it in the country that, they come out from school and they are not employable, basically. I would say most of them do, not all of them. So I decided to create a movement that would empower young college grads with employable skills across the continent of Africa. And my goal is very ambitious. So I want to actually reach about 50 million young Africans in 5 years. And I'm just started like 2 months ago that I just began the process. So I wanted to pick your brain as to, with such an ambitious goal, where would you start, and what would be your roadmap if you were in my shoes?
So there's the content, and then there's distribution.
Okay.
So you're basically saying, hey, universities, you're not equipped, because that's the sales pitch universities.
Exactly.
Right? Sales pitches, we're going to equip you for the skills to get a job. You're basically saying, I'm taking college grads who've just been through it, and so college, you're not giving the skill set. I'm going to give the skill set, right? So college is probably not your distribution model.
No.
But the content is what? Is it going to be you training? Is it going to be you going into and doing live events? Is it going to be by people watching your videos or reading your books? Like, what do you envision as the content?
Okay, so great question. So the first thing that I did, I created a content. So I created the content is in two separate categories. So the first category is in soft skills, and soft skills typically no college teaches that. Maybe it's the career guidance and counseling people who might teach a few students here and there, but it comes from my years and years of experience in corporate UK and corporate America. So I thought about things like problem solving, critical thinking skills, communication skills, presentation skills, those kind of things. Then I came into the digital skills. So I would say some kind of technical skills. So for instance, I hired a bunch of college grads who said they majored in accounting to do some basic stuff for me. And I had to go through massive recruitment work. I had actually one position, 385 385 applicants apply for that job. And I went through every one of the applications and I selected one. And when he came, I noticed that he didn't even know how to use a spreadsheet very well. And this is a college grad in accounting with accounting major, which was a big red flag. Then I got to know that actually that's the trend. So as part of the content, I created content where they learn about how to use spreadsheet, at least in a business environment, very well. And then also presentation skills, like how to present, slide decks, how to actually create slide decks for a business setting. So using Canva, using Google Slides, using
Right.
PowerPoint, and all the other tools. Then I taught them also about digital marketing because I believe that no matter which part of the world that you are, which part of Africa that you are, you need some kind of basic digital marketing skills. And the logic was this. Unlike in the developed world where there is specialty sectors in most companies or specialty units, so you pick an accounting unit, there are probably 50, 60 employees. In most African countries, the companies or the businesses are small to medium size. So to be competitive on the job market, you have to be somewhat a generalist starting from the block, whereby you're able to do maybe 2 or 3 people's jobs. That will give you a competitive edge than somebody who actually specializes from the get-go. So their skills to actually train them in spreadsheets, slide design, digital marketing, data visualization, and and I also thought about job interview skills and writing resumes. So
Okay.
those are the core blocks of the course. And
So
what I did
is it like we're talking Africa, right? So it's
yes,
not
it's
Isaac
not
going to schools one by one.
no.
So is
No.
it courses? Is it videos? Is it books? Is it you're going to have 1,000 trainers doing this around the continent? Like, how do you see the actual execution of the content?
So this content that I created myself because of my background, right? So because these are things that I've done in my years of corporate experience. So I did them using videos. So basically, it's a Camtasia kind of screen recorder and that kind of thing, and putting it all together, uploading onto a server, and then putting a gateway around it. Basically, that was the premise. Then I got some kind of a break in the sense that I also do some kind of IT consultancy for organizations. So I did some projects for the government of Ghana, and I noticed that they actually wanted to create a platform like that would help train young people.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually offered to even give them my content for free.
Okay.
So that they would use, because that would give me skill. Then I find a way to monetize it on the back end.
And what happened?
It hasn't been launched yet because there was an election, and they trying to approve all the members of cabinet and that kind of thing. That's the process they are in now. So once all the leadership are approved, then I'll be able to know precisely what the rollout strategy is going to be. But I'm really committed to doing that because I see that, to me, yes, the monetization aspect is there, but I actually want to help. I want to help because I've heard a lot of horror stories. Kids finishing school in 4 or 5 years, they are still unemployed. And it's not because there isn't adequate job. It's just because the companies just don't want to hire because they think they'll be wasting their time.
So if you're going to make a deal with the Ghana government to give it for free,
yeah,
you're monetizing the back end, which is what the students are then going to pay you for coaching or extra training or something else?
Yes, coaching, extra training, and then also certification as well. You can have my content for free, but I can put a gateway around. If you want to have a certificate with that, then you pay a token to get that. That's one option.
I think so, because of the scale of where you're trying to take this,
right?
I think it's going to be really hard to sell the students because they don't have money. I mean, that's part of the challenge. Some people coming out of college, I mean, if they had money to go to college, so they'll have some money, but a lot of them don't have money. It's why they're trying to find a job. They might be in debt. They're trying to find money. So it's going to be hard to sell coaching on a big scale to make it, again, your ambition is Africa, right? If you said, hey, I just want to have a client base of 100 people and right? I think your best bet is, I like the government angle. The challenge is there's lots of different governments, because we're talking Africa, not just Ghana, right? And they all have their own elections and they all have their own politics and all of their, it's, I mean, you know better than
crazy. Yeah, it is crazy.
I mean, there's big differences in the governments and level of support and level of corruption and all of that stuff, across the country, right?
Yes.
I think your best bet is a company that's in all those countries. Like the first one that comes to mind is Dangote. I mean,
Okay.
a company that's known across the whole continent.
Right.
And you partner with somebody who is entrepreneurial, who recognizes it's a two-way street for them. And one, if Dangote is hiring, and for anybody watching, Dangote is like one of the top biggest companies in Africa. I mean, I don't know.
It is. It's one of the top.
One of the top 10, but it's founded. Aliko Dangote is the guy who did it, who's still there, who's still alive, who's still involved. So it's more entrepreneurial than a company that's been around and has been handed off to like a lot of different generations already.
Yes.
Or run by corporate management, and they're known across Africa. I don't know where's the headquarters. You know where the headquarters is?
In Nigeria.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But big presence in Ghana, right?
Yes, they do. Yes.
And it would be everywhere. I mean, across Africa, everywhere. Here in North America, nobody knows who Aliko Dangote is, but big deal. Or him, or like Strive Masiyiwa, or like any of the. I don't know enough about the Ghana local.
Oh, I love Strive. I love him. He's a genius. Strive Masiyiwa is a genius.
Entrepreneurial legend.
Yes.
Background in the UK as well, kind of similar going there. And again, most of my audience probably have no idea who Strive Masiyiwa is either. But those kinds of people they've made it big, and they recognize the same problem that you recognize. They're struggling in hiring. So if somebody's trying to get out of college to then get a job, Dangote would be one of the places that they would love to go. I'd love to get a job at Dangote, right?
Yes.
But they don't have the skills to get in. So that's a hiring problem for Dangote that you can come in and solve.
Yes.
And it's also great PR for them that they're supporting the young African community, that they're training. So they pay you.
Oh, yeah.
To sponsor the content. You've got and you can keep it narrow at the start if it's just going to be within accounting, for example. You've got the accounting program to teach people spreadsheets, sponsored by Dangote, or company of similar, a telecom company, a bank, but something that can take you, like if you do Dangote Ghana, that could take you across the country. Yeah, if you do some local bank, they may not have branches or offices anywhere else, so now you gotta. It's like the government thing. You can do it with one government, but then the next government, it's hard, right? Where if you're a company who believes in it, they can take you everywhere. So you start small within Ghana because that's where you are, and that's easier to build local connections. But then I deal with a company that can sponsor it and take you across the continent. So they pay you. The monetization path is through them.
Okay.
They sponsor it. It's good PR for them to get exposure, and it also helps them get better qualified employees who have a skill set coming in beyond just what they're being trained at university.
Wow. And there, as you said, there are a lot of other companies like mining companies, oil and gas companies that are like very, very, especially the mining and the oil and gas. They normally are in the rural areas, and they cause a lot of environmental kind of damage. So sometimes doing things like this is very good PR for them.
I would just be thinking, do they have a presence in Nigeria? Do they have a presence, on the east side? Or do they have a presence in Tanzania? Do they have a presence in South Africa? Are they everywhere? Mining companies typically don't, but I don't know enough about African mining companies to know. But you would know, or you could find that out pretty quickly. Usually it's multinationals, telecom, maybe banks, maybe even a British company or a North American company that has branches in every single country.
The bank, Standard Chartered, and
like
Standard Chartered Bank. Coca-Cola, Pepsi,
right. They have the same thing of, hey, we have trouble hiring people because they're not trained enough. And Coca-Cola does a lot to actually be involved. I don't know Coca-Cola Africa specifically, but They understand the importance of being first and being part of the community and jumping in. So maybe Coca-Cola sponsors. But like that's if you said again Ghana or your city or something, that's different. But Africa,
that's
right?
huge, man.
So like, listen, I like it, but who's the partner that takes you to Africa? So you still start with Coca-Cola or Dangote Ghana,
yes,
and then they take you to the rest of the continent, and as opposed to having 40 different partnerships with 40 different companies and governments and trying to make all that mess happen.
Wow, interesting. Then I was also thinking about this. So in terms of influence and impact, so I just started a YouTube channel that I teach about some of these things as well. I currently don't have much in terms of subscriber base. I just started, but I have some friends, at least, or friends who know some friends who have some kind of huge networks that I'm trying to leverage. So I know one guy, but one gentleman who is probably one of the biggest bloggers in Africa with a large following, and he's following basically just young people. So so in trying to reach guys like that, what is the template? Well, how do I position myself to make sure that they would buy into the kind of vision that I'm trying to sell?
You mean like for the blog
media? Yes, their audiences need the content. Yes.
You start with the guys that you know. So if you already know this guy, you explain the vision for what you're trying to do. It's obviously a very big vision.
It is.
And then you ask him, how can we work together?
Okay.
Because he's going to give you more feedback than somebody who you're going in cold.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true.
You work with him. You do your first thing with him. You ask him, like, what's the do you believe in what I'm trying to do? What do you think is the best way I can promote it? You know, and maybe he says, hey, I can write a blog post on you, or I can feature you in my email list, or I can whatever he says, because he knows his business and his audience better than you do, and definitely better than I do.
Yes.
So work with him to come up with a pitch of how it can work, and then you use that as an example for everybody else. So he's got a name, right? He's got a name that people would recognize. So then anybody who follows him. So where's his biggest audience? YouTube, Instagram?
YouTube. He's got close to 1 million YouTube subscribers.
Is he from Ghana too?
Yes.
That's awesome. Great. And listen, it's such an entrepreneurial culture.
It is.
The African entrepreneur, I love. It's like everybody's all thinking already, like, "Ooh, how can I start my own business?" I love the.
That's how to survive here, man. Because
dude,
the government and things don't work here. Yeah, it's just.
I love it. I love it so much. Listen, dude, self-reliance instead of waiting for the government to take care of you, I think is the greatest skill you can learn. It's fantastic.
It is.
So anybody who knows him, you then reach out. So like subscribe to him on his YouTube channel. Who is commenting on his YouTube channel? Who follows him on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn? Anybody who's following him, they know who he is.
Right.
Then after you do your collaboration with him, you reach out to people who follow him and say, hey, we just did a collab with this guy.
Yeah.
I'd love to do something with you too.
Awesome.
And you're now using his name to
as leverage.
Yeah, as leverage to open the door. Right? So, I mean, we do that all the time now, too. If you know, I had Tony Robbins on the channel and Gary on the channel and people inside thought leadership. So when we're pitching Matthew McConaughey and Deepak Chopra, who just came on the channel recently. It's like, well, we had Tony Robbins and we had Matthew McConaughey and Gary Vee. And it gives you more credibility than if you're going in and saying, okay, I don't know, you don't know me, but I've got this big idea. Maybe you want to talk, right?
Yeah.
So it's great that you already know this one guy. Use that and open up the doors. Like he may even just introduce you to say, hey, who else could I talk to in this space, whether they're big on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever they have a big community. But I think your best bet is taking it. You need to get the corporate.
Yeah,
like,
the corporate.
That's going to help you. Like this guy could be a great tool to help get the corporate to say, hey, if you
Ah,
sponsor me, I've also enlisted these people to help. It's not just me, it's also this guy who's willing to promote it, and this guy who's willing to make a YouTube video on it, and this woman who's willing to blog about it, right?
wow.
So when you go to
Wow.
Dante or to Coca-Cola or to Toyota or to whoever, it's not just you showing up and having them do everything. You're bringing a network of people together.
Yeah, Evan, I'm so happy you brought this because I never thought about it that way. This is phenomenal. This is because once I'm able to bring this gentleman on board, I know he has a strong network across Africa. Obviously, you can't have a YouTube channel with close to 1 million people with just one country represent. He has people from all walks of life, all over the world. And I believe once I present it that way to him, it will actually resonate with him, and I believe that will work.
He might have connections too that could help. Like
Mm-hmm.
somebody at one of those companies that could help
Yes.
spread the message.
Yes. We'll do that. And I have another gentleman. He has like 1.5 million on Instagram. That one I'm not directly connected with him. I don't really know him, but I know somebody who knows him.
Is he Ghana?
Yes, he is.
Man, I
He's
love
a
it.
young guy.
Yeah.
These are young guys, and they are really doing well. They're really doing well, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And the whole thing is that you have to be entrepreneurial here, else you can't survive. You have to, and that is really causing innovation and things to actually grow in many parts of Africa. Many parts. Young people are just erupting with ideas.
What language is English going to be the main language for all the material?
Yes, Ghana has several languages, but English is the main language because Ghana is a British colony.
Right. But we're talking Africa now, right? So
Africa is diverse. You're talking like 54 countries now, probably 55 now, when you add South Sudan. So it's highly diverse, culturally, language, food, everything is different from one country to the next. So you can actually look at Africa in terms of blocks, and the blocks are West Africa, East Africa, North and South. If you group West Africa, they tend to have very common traits. If you group East Africa, they also have common traits, and the North as well. So, but you also have to have a microcosm of it that every one of them is different. Every country is different. But the good thing is that Africa there's a new kind of project that just started this year. That's the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which is putting all Africa under one basket. So the entire continent is going to be trading, is going to be doing business like one country, and they're starting from 2021.
And who's putting that together?
It's the African Union, it's the politicians, and they started actually. It's a huge project.
Do they have business connections? Like, is it corporate sponsored at all, or do they have big companies that are part of it, or is it just government?
I think it's just government, but they are very open to the private sector getting involved. Very open.
Well, because sometimes with those coalitions, they also involve private sector.
Yes.
And anybody who's thinking at that scale of uniting Africa for some key initiatives, those are the companies you want to talk to sponsor your program.
Right.
So if you go to, if you take your content to Tanzania or to Kenya, it's still in English?
It is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. So there's a French-speaking block in Africa and there's English-speaking block in Africa. Obviously, the English-speaking block, I think, is bigger, if not the same. But if push comes to shove and I see that it's a real business case for this, I wouldn't mind getting it translated into French. That would be the easiest of problems to have. I wouldn't mind at all. But the English blocks are big anyway.
What's the language again in Kenya, Tanzania, on that east side?
Kenya is English. Kenya is British colony. They have their own traditional languages here and there.
Right.
So English is going to be a second language, I think. And in Ghana, English is second language. Nigeria, English is second language. In most parts of Africa, it's either English or French second language, and they have a predominant local language. So in Ghana, you have the Twi. That's the predominant language spoken here. Nigeria has the Yoruba language, which is the
What's the
predominant
local Ghana? Oh,
language. You mean the local Ghanaian language? It's called Twi. TWI.
and how do you say
TWI. Yeah.
they believe?
It's called. How do you say believe? Okay, believe means GD. GID. Yeah, GD.
I
GIDI.
like GD. Cool. I like it.
Yeah, it could mean both belief and faith. It means the same thing. Yes, faith and belief, it means the same thing in the local setting.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So yeah, I think the trick for you is you start narrow, but the path has to be able to take you global, or not global, but across the continent. So you start with a company that has that reach, and there's maybe 20, 30, 40 companies that could have that potential reach for you. And then but you start in Ghana because that's where you are. So whoever the local branch is in Ghana, that's who you're talking to, Dangote, Coca-Cola, whatever. And then even in the content, you start niche.
Okay.
The content is about digital marketing, or the content is about accounting, or the content is about social media, or the content is about presentation skills. You don't worry about having all the content for everyone. Yeah. Start with you have it's the roadmap. It's the roadmap to have everything. But what's the biggest? That's when you're talking to Dangote. Okay, there's 8 different content pillars that I want to go through. What's the most pressing for you? Like, what do you guys struggle with when you have new candidates coming in, college grads? What are you struggling with the most?
Okay.
And they say presentation skills.
Okay.
Presentation skills. Let's go.
Yeah.
And the only module that you launch with, and they sponsor it for Ghana, and then it becomes presentation skills for West Africa, and then presentation skills for Africa, and then we're adding in social media, we're adding in all the other stuff. Because if you try to just do all the content at the beginning, it's too much.
Yes, it is.
So, and again, you want to find the company that can take you across the whole continent. So, yeah, I would make that list of your top 40 to 50 companies. Talk to your friend who's got connections and can potentially help.
Yes.
And that's how you launch it, dude. I'm super excited.
Awesome. Likewise. Hey, I'm so grateful, Evan. I'm actually excited to be a part of the Movement Makers and Brandlytics group as well. I'm super excited. I really want to take this.
Oh, you did an IG Live coaching session. It's great.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, yeah. That was 2 days ago. That was inspired by you, though.
I like it. He's doing it. Guys, listen.
Yes.
If you're part of a program or listen to a coach, go take the advice. And Isaac's doing it. Cool, man. Well, thanks for spending the time today. I love what you do, giving up the context. Continue to GD, and we'll see you soon.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.